Perfect. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the fall 2020 ASUNM Senatorial Candidate Debate. My name is Joshua R. Lafayette, and I'm the Executive Director of the Elections Commission.
Hi, my name is Nia Walls, and I am an Elections Commissioner.
And then I will be moderating the debate tonight, and Nia will be helping me by keeping time. So the rules for tonight's debate. So tonight, each of you will receive 45 seconds to give opening statements. After that, a question will be asked to one of you in a predetermined order. You will have 45 seconds to answer this question. Any other candidate that wishes to answer the same question will use the raise hand feature and will be given 30 seconds to answer. All 5 of you will be asked a different question, but then that same question will be opened up to any other candidate who wishes to answer. So speaking time will start when I say time starts now and will be ended when the timekeeper calls time. Speaking over your time limit will result in your microphone being muted. Anybody have a question? Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right. So we're going to go ahead and begin with opening statements. And our first statement is going to be from Anni Thompson. Your time starts now.
Right. Hi, I'm Anni Thompson. I'm a freshman at UNM, and I'm running because I believe that transparency, communication, and definitely student representation could be improved in ASUNM. As a freshman, I've already experienced the fact that there are lots of opinions and students who aren't feeling that their voices are heard. And I think that all of that is something that can be improved by just communication and transparency within the administration.
Thank you. Our next opening statement will be from Aakif Najgi. Your time starts now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Aakif Najgi, as you heard from Josh. I'm running with Elevate UNM. We're working on a couple different things. Number 1, trying to keep tuition costs down. Number 2, increase transparency. Number 3, creating a greener campus. And number 4, increasing student involvement so we have more fun on campus, everybody can get along more, and we increase student involvement. I think by doing this all, we can ensure that people are more included in UNM, student resources are more available and better used, and we can ensure that everybody is included. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next opening statement will be from Micah Cornelio, Your time starts now.
Hello, everyone. I am Micah Cornelio. I am running with my slate Revamp UNM. Our goals are to improve the underrepresented organizations within UNM, like STEM programs and the esports community. We also want to just represent the minorities, especially the Asian community, and push for the finish and completion of the APAC Center, which is the Asian Pacific American Cultural Center. And yeah, I'm happy to be here with you all today.
Thank you. Our next opening statement will be James Martin. Your time starts now.
Sorry, my mic was being weird. My name is James Martin. I'm a senior. I'm a sustainability minor, history major. I'm running to basically cut the disconnect from the students here at UNM. All through my campaign, talking to people about running, all I've heard is like ASUNM is nothing. No one cares about it. I don't really care what goes on. And I want to end that because I feel like people don't think they're being represented. And I think that definitely needs to change.
Thank you. And then our last opening statement, Devin Padilla-Munson. Your time starts now.
Hello, my name is Devin Padilla-Munson, and I'm a sophomore studying biology here at UNM. And my main focus is involvement. Now that we're in this time of COVID where we have to do everything virtually, I feel like it's really difficult for students to know how to get engaged and how to get involved here on campus in UNM. So my main goal is to bring kids back into this community and get involved in our campus.
Perfect. Thank you. And next, we will be going into questions. So our first question of the evening will be for Anni Thompson. And that is, just one second here. Do you believe that the amount of ASUNM senators should be increased from the current number of 20? Why or why not? Your time starts now.
I'm going to be honest, I think that it does need to be increased. Looking at the amount of students and just if you can look at statistics, I mean, the population of the entire country is growing, and that means that there are going to be more students, trying to achieve higher education, especially now that a lot of jobs are going to, require you to have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. So there's more students who are already engaged on campus. So shouldn't we have more representation? Should we have more senators to represent that larger amount of students? I feel like it would also give students an opportunity to feel that they are being represented. Students from the LGBT community, students, students of color, female students, male students, anybody who feels that they're not having their voices heard can now have a greater opportunity to have representation inside of the ASUNM. And so I think that's really important. I think we should increase it, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to see if anybody else wants to answer that question. Keith?
Sorry, I don't see the raise hand function on my Zoom, but I'll go ahead and start. I think that an increase could, of course, be considered, but we must also consider with an increased number of senators, it may get harder to get people on the same page. So if we're locked up on issues and people are not agreeing on issues, it may be harder for us to pass stuff efficiently and effectively. I think if we had an increase in student population in the next couple of years, we could maybe consider an increase, but I think it's actually not terrible how it is at the moment, because I think we have a decent representation as long as all senators are properly representing the population.
Thank you. And next we have Devin Padilla-Munson. Your time starts now.
I believe that if the population of UNM was to be increased, we could consider raising the amount of senators that we could have. But I think the main issue is that we need to be sure that there's more outreach to our organizations and clubs on campus, so that if these clubs and organizations wanted the representation, they could put their own people forward. I think we need to make sure that there's more outreach to let people know that this is an available option, is to run for Senate.
Perfect. And next we have Micah Cornelio. Your time starts now.
So I have to agree with both Devin and Aakif. I feel like raising the amount of senates isn't the problem. I feel like it's the representation within Senate. So if we were to keep the same number, I feel like as long as we have like a diverse number of senators and people that will actually represent, like Aakif said, like the population within UNM and the people that they want to represent, then I feel like the amount of 20 senators as of right now in ASUNM would actually be efficient.
Thank you. And then if both of you wouldn't mind, please lower your hand. And then James Martin, your time starts now.
I'm going to have to agree with Annie. I'm going to have to say that I think a definite increase needs to happen. I think there's a huge hierarchy at the top of ASUNM, and I personally have seen it the past 2 years I've been going here, where a lot of seats are filled up with just like a popular person from a frat or a popular person from a sorority. I think there needs a ton more representation for LGBT minorities on this Senate. And I think that not a lot of groups get their chances with that. I think that a lot of people, a lot of those spots are filled just with a popular frat figure that's going to do the best for that current system and that one group. And I think there definitely needs to be more representation for every single group on campus, no matter what.
And then Aakif, I see that your hand is raised. I'm going to let you reply, but only give you about 15 seconds in the sake of time.
All right, James, I agree with some of your points in that some of the balances may be not evenly distributed, but I think there's multiple governing bodies that have influence on UNM, so I don't think it's just ASUNM. I think other people can have influence going to other governing bodies. And furthermore, I think people if the senators are effectively representing the population, there shouldn't need to be an increase. Thank you, though.
Perfect. You're almost there on time, Nia. Was he close? Yeah, okay. So we're going to move on to the next question. Aakif, if you would please lower your hand for me on the Zoom feature. So the next question will be for Aakif Najgi, and that is, if elected into the Senate, what is the first thing you would like to accomplish? Your time starts now.
So the first thing I would like to accomplish is returning back from an unprecedented semester. We've had tuition raises and we have a decrease of campus events. I think going back will be an unprecedented time. Hoping to move back to an adjusted normal. I think by primarily increasing student involvement and student activity, like Mr. Devin Munson said over here, we can definitely increase the amount of events on campus, socially distant events, bring people back to campus to an adjusted normal so people feel more comfortable and we're more inviting to students, and students feel more comfortable to participate in events, and therefore their voices are more likely to be represented. From there, we can move on to creating a greener campus, ensuring that we're properly allowing resources to every student who wants these resources. But I would start off by increasing this student involvement, whether that be virtual or in person, depending on how we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And James Martin, your time starts now.
I would have to definitely agree with Aakif on that. I think the tuition raise definitely needs to be addressed. And I think as ASUNM senators, we definitely have a responsibility to our body that elected us to look at big issues like that actually affect them. And I think going on greener campus is a great thing that I think we should definitely look into, as well as the passing of things like UNM Leaf has been pushing through environmentally sound bills through ASUNM and pushing them more and more. And I think that would be my first priority. My first priority is to look out for the future of this campus and the future of us.
Thank you. Next, I saw Anni Thompson. Starts now.
Okay, so I agree with what both Aakif and James said, that we need to, increase events because, a lot of students have been feeling cooped up, and I think that we need to make sure we're doing that in a safe way. I think where that originates is by increasing, communication with administration and making sure that students understand, what events actually are going on. Are those events going to be safe? Where those events will be taking place? So my first priority would be making sure that there's an efficient flow of communication from administration and ASUNM all the way down to the students who, some students don't even know what ASUNM is. And I think that that's a priority we need, need to be focusing on, making sure the information is getting out on, what events are going on and everything like that.
Perfect. And then next we are going to go with Devin, and then followed by Micah, and then we'll move on. Devin, your time starts now.
I agree that we need to put on events that practice safe, like COVID safe regulations. But the thing about the tuition raises is that that's really not in our control. Like, yes, we do have control over the student fees, but the tuition raises beyond us. That goes on to the Board of Regents. So if we do want to connect to that, we need to be passing resolutions and having open communication with the Board of Regents. Those are the people that set the budgets and tuition.
And then finally, Micah, your time starts now.
I just wanted to agree with them because he did bring up the point that I wanted to bring up. So I just wanted to reiterate, yes, we just have to be more transparent with student fees and let the students know where their money is going into, rather than oh, this is your tuition raise, we can't do anything about that. But just be more transparent and let them feel like they have a place and know where their money is going to. And I agree with increasing student involvement, but it is very hard. So I feel to do that, we should increase our social involvement through virtual things like Instagram, Discord, for more safe, practical, COVID safe events.
So thank you. And with that, we are going to move on to the next question. And I would like to remind all of you to please lower your hands. Thank you. And the next question will be for Micah Cornelio. And that is, if elected to the Senate, would you support legislation to raise the student fee from its current $20 to make more money available for ASUNM and the student organizations which rely on its funding? Your time starts now.
So I agree with raising fees, just because we have all said that student engagement is low right now. And I feel increasing the student fee would actually just make that a negative turn and decrease the number even more. So in case, because the raise of tuition is, and I feel raising student fees would also just give opportunities to students who can't afford college as it is, and increasing student fees would just make it unfair.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to go with James Martin. Your time starts now.
I think I would have to definitely say that I wouldn't at the beginning agree with raising student fees. I think before we think about putting that cost back on the students, I think what we need to do is a deep dive into our budget and see if maybe too much money is going to certain organizations or certain groups that aren't reflecting a positive impact on campus. If there's groups that shouldn't be getting the money that they're getting, I'd rather take money from that than say, hey, a whole student base, you need to pay more. I think, like Micah was saying, we need to have more money for more events and more to help students. But I think that money can definitely come from groups that are being overfunded rather than not giving a positive impact on the campus than to put that again on the people that elected us that we're supposed to be representing.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Munson, your time starts now.
Okay, so in the most proposed recent student fee increase, it was only said that it was gonna be raised $5. And I think an important thing to note about that is that the fee hasn't been increased in a while. You have to take into account things like inflation. And also having more money would mean we would have more money to go to resource centers, the centers that actually like support and help different groups such as LGBT and minorities. And also this money could go into like different events and social events. And these are the things that bring in student enrollment, such as fiestas.
Thank you. Next on that question, Aakif Najgi, and then we're going to go with Anni Thompson and then move on. So Aakif, your time starts now.
I think everybody's brought up some great points over here. I think we can start off by looking at the budget, as James said, and seeing where we can shave off stuff, because I think we always have room to improve. But going back to what Devin said, I think that's a great point. Again, a small student fee increase with such a large student body could make really big changes to our campus. We could increase the events and therefore even increase revenue. So a small increase could lead to more money coming to UNM and an increase in events, increase in student involvements, and a trickle-down effect, which could lead to just a better overall campus for all of us. So I think we should start off by looking at the budget, but I wouldn't oppose a budget increase or a fee increase if we needed to do that.
Thank you. And then last on this topic, we are going to go with Anni Thompson. Your time starts now.
All right, I think everybody has brought up some like really amazing points. We've hit on a lot of things that we've talked about and have been discussed before. The budget, it's taking money from, reorganizing the budget like James said, but I think Micah made, a very strong point that I don't think we can support it right now, as, not everyone can afford a $5 increase, especially since COVID has put everybody in a very unique financial situation. And I think that part of, like we said earlier, those events that we want to put on and being COVID safe next semester, we can do a lot of that virtually, which I think will help cut the cost of, those events that everyone was talking about that would need that money.
Thank you. And James, I see your hand up. And as I did with Aakif earlier, I will let you reply, but only give you 15 seconds to do so. Your time starts now.
So I just think we as senators need to understand that we might be in a place where a small student fee isn't going to affect us, but we're not elected to represent everybody that's exactly in the same situation as us. We have to represent everybody no matter what situation they're in. And I think some people might be in a different situation than we may be in.
Thank you. And with that, the next question will be for you, Mr. Martin. ASUNM senators often have opportunities to speak with President Stokes and other university officials. Before, you guys were talking a little bit about the Board of Regents, how they do tuition. So your question is, if elected to the Senate, what is a question you would like to ask President Stokes? Your time starts now.
Well, I have so many, especially with everything that's happened this summer between, we've had racist incidents with our own police force on campus. We've had snipers on the buildings aimed at Black Lives Matter protests. We've had just terrible decisions made on campus. And I think the biggest conversation I would have is about mainly her understanding of students and the situations they may be in, especially with this tuition raise for us going online and forcing us to pay online fees when there's no real other option, especially for people who are in danger and don't want to risk having in-person classes and getting sick. I think that would be the first conversation I would have with her, if I could, about how much of an impact that tuition raise may have had. I have so many people who didn't come back this last semester, both because they could not afford it and because they didn't feel safe doing in person where they could afford. I had so many friends that just got left in the dust, and they might not be able to come back when you take a gap year, in a lot of senses, people don't come back. And I think that should be top of our issue. And I think that's what matters to students. I think issues like that need to be what matters to students and what we represent.
Thank you. So Anni Thompson, I see your hand raised. Your time starts now.
I agree with James that my questions would all revolve around, and probably, the first question is be, what are her opinions, and, what does she think that she's doing about student safety, both physically and mentally? As we talked about, with those snipers on the buildings this past summer, and, the incident of the blatantly racist cop on campus, I think that those are both things that we need to address. How does she feel about student safety, but also mentally, with these online classes, a lot of teachers are canceling class randomly, not posting material. I mean, that's taking a toll on a lot of students mentally as they are taking tests they feel they haven't even taught the material for and don't even have the resources to learn. So, how does she feel about student safety physically and mentally? What does she think she's doing, and how can she improve that?
Thank you. And as of now, I see no other hands, so we're going to move on to the next question, which is for Devin Padilla-Munson. So finally, if you could change one thing about our beloved University of New Mexico, what would it be? Your time starts now.
I believe I touched on this earlier, but I think that different groups here on campus do need more representation. And I think that by doing that, what we can do is we can reach out to more clubs and organizations and get them more involved in what ASUNM is. Because I've had people on Instagram DM me like, what is ASUNM? If we could reach out to these clubs and organizations and promote our elections more, I think perhaps we could get much more, I bet we could have much more equal representation instead of just several groups that just dominate the Senate.
Thank you. Next, James Martin, your time will start now.
I think on my long list of changes, and that's nothing against the university itself, because as I think everyone here, I love this university to death, and that's why I think I want to bring so much positive change. But the one biggest thing that I would try to change would be like Devin was talking about, that disillusion away from students, that disconnection that we have. And whether we're still online next semester and we have to try to make that connection through Zoom, I think we still need to do it. I think there's a lot of students out there that are feeling lonely right now, that are just not feeling the way that we should and we do in a normal kind of situation. I think reaching out and knowing that, letting those students know that we're here and making them feel connected, no matter who they are, no matter their race, sexuality, anything. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to establish, that this campus is an open campus for everybody, no matter who you are, what you do, or whatever you believe, you are welcome here. And that's what we need to establish as ASUNM, not have sect groups that if you're not part of our special group, you're not cool and part of our hierarchy. I think everyone needs to feel accepted and represented on this campus.
Thank you. Next, Aakif Najgi, your time will start now.
I think I agree with what some of the previous senator or potential senators have said, in the sense that we do need more representation for certain campus groups, but I think we can do that by increasing communication. Just like any good relationship, the Senate needs a good communication with the student body. By constantly keeping, for instance, Instagram account updated with not only what is happening, what has been passed, but furthermore, why this has been passed. We can look at, so students have an idea of what is going on, they have more of an idea, they can be more participated, and they're more likely to engage with the Senate. So I think it's not necessarily what is going on again, but more of a why stuff is going on. If we keep them posted on common apps, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, just simple stuff like that, in which we're letting the students know how we're running our business, I think it's really important, and that will keep them more engaged.
Thank you. Next, I will recognize Micah Cornelio. Your time starts now.
So I do want to agree with both of everyone's facts so far, but I just want to personally, I feel like UNM needs more resources available to all diversity and races, of course. I know one of the current senators right now is really pushing for an Asian Pacific American cultural center. So I would personally continue that fight for that cultural center. I also feel like there's a large underrepresented community of STEM organizations. My sister personally is an alumni from UNM and was actually unaware that she had those opportunities. So I feel like increasing the engagement of those communities would actually help student retention and enrollment rate, just because I feel like if you give them the opportunities that they didn't know before, they will take on the opportunity once they do know.
Thank you. Anni Thompson, your time will start now.
I agree. Just like Micah said, I think everybody's making really strong points about things that, need attention, but I think ASUNM can really focus on that transparency and communication. I think those are things that will create a community by making people more aware. I mean, like everybody said, a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm running for this, and people have no idea that it even existed. And I think, that's a problem. Students to know it exists and students to know what it's doing. Just like Aakif said, I think that by just keeping people updated and that transparency of here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, and here's how it's going to happen, that students will feel like, oh, something's actually happening. They'll feel useful and they'll feel that their voices aren't just being heard, but actions are being taken because of their voice.
Thank you. And then finally, Mr. Munson, I see your hand raised. As done previous in the evening, I will give you 15 seconds to reply, as this was your question, and your time starts now.
Another bullet point is I think ASUNM, it needs to allocate more money to resource centers. These resource centers will benefit students with scholarships. They also give out resources and education on different things such as FAFSA. And also it just helps more students find extra community and people to feel involved with. So I think it's really important that we allocate money to these groups as well.
Thank you. And with that, we are going to go into closing statements. As with the opening statement, you will have 45 seconds. And Anni Thompson, your time will start now.
I think that everybody has brought up lots of very, very strong points tonight, but I think once again, the most important things that ASUNM can be doing is focusing on that transparency, the communication, and like everyone has said, representing the students that we're meant to represent. I know that there are lots of things that, each of us personally strongly believe are like, something that needs to get done, but we need to be listening to the students and we need to be making sure that our students, our fellow students are, having their opinions heard. And I think that I can do that if I'm allowed to have the opportunity to represent the student body.
Thank you. Next, Aakif Najgi, your time will start now.
Cool. Yeah. First of all, just thank you guys. I think it was really awesome. You guys brought up some really awesome points. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Nia. Appreciate you guys' help. I think we can all agree that we need to focus on increasing student involvement. And by increasing student involvement, people will be more aware of what's going on. Secondly, we can increase transparency. I think everybody is for and also running on transparency. Like Annie said, we can always do better. We can work together to make sure students are aware of what's going on, why it's going on, and how it's going on. Finally, I think, by being more socially conscious, UNM it's already a beautiful campus. We can maintain that beauty and people will be more retained to stay. And finally, if we're just, again, communicating with the students, ensuring they know what's going on in the Senate, I think that's really important. So again, thank you all. I appreciate your time.
Finally, Micah Cornelio, your closing statement will start now.
So hello, everyone. I just want to thank you all for being here and the opportunity for this. I just want to highlight my campaign really quick. I am running to represent the underrepresented STEM-based organizations and actually esports. We really want to increase the attention towards there and make it more popular, hopefully to give opportunities to other students who don't have the opportunity right now. I'm really happy to be here with you guys. And if I'm not elected onto ASUNM, I know that the rest of these senators, whoever gets elected, I know they'll do a great job.
Thank you. James Martin, your closing statement will start now.
Thanks again for this whole thing and the platform to be able to speak on these. But I've been going here for 2 years now. I've involved myself in multiple groups and organizations on campus, from Ultimate Frisbee to UNM Leaf to community experience and volunteering on campus. And I think from every single group, I've seen something special that I think needs to be more of part of ASUNM, which is inclusiveness and just accepting everybody for who they are. No matter where I've gone on campus, no matter which group I've tried to join or been a part of, I've been accepted and embraced as part of that group. And I think that's what ASUNM needs to represent for this campus. I think this campus needs to represent every race, every sexuality, and every gender of person. I think every single person on this campus deserves to have their voice heard. And I think it's a damn shame when people vote for somebody and don't feel at all that they're represented. They just vote down a line or because they saw it on Instagram and they don't feel representative. So I think the best thing I can promise if I'm elected is giving you that feedback and letting you know that you are allowed, you are included, and you are welcome no matter who you are on this campus. And I think that's the beauty of who we are now, and that's the beauty of this campus, that no matter what, you're accepted and embraced, and we love you.
Thank you. And our last word tonight will be from Devin Padilla-Munson.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Josh and Nia, for giving us a platform to speak on. And if elected, the main points that I want to work on is I want to help pass legislation and resolutions, and also like allow for more communication between us and the higher ups, such as the Board of Regents and President Stokes. And we could pass like resolutions to advocate for what we want, for things such as the tuition, because those are things we just can't simply touch. And also, I feel very strongly about bringing more involvement and community service to campus. So even in a time of Corona, we can get creative with it. And finally, I want to be sure that resource centers are fairly represented and that they do not get left behind, as they do benefit a lot of our student population, especially minorities.
Thank you very much. And if all of you will stay on the call, it would be appreciated. I'd like to thank everybody who is watching this via YouTube in the future. Hopefully it's a better place than where we are now. And if Nia, you would stop recording, that would be appreciated.